Hello, audience of Elisha Space. It's such a pleasure to have you guys back with us. I'm so excited. And I just want you guys to know that you are my favorite time of the day. Seriously. Out of everything I do, and I do a lot, I really enjoy doing this podcast. We are a sanctuary for healing, growth, and authentic conversations. Thrilled to have you join us as we continue the journey of becoming our better and more authentic healing selves. In this special episode, we are going to be having a conversation around attachment parenting. And I have Todd Sarner, MFT, who is with us here today. And he is a psychotherapist and parent coach who helps with high-achieving families create calm, connected homes in a screen-saturated world. Since 2004, he has led Transformative Parenting, blended attachment science with practical leadership to reduce conflict and strengthen relationships. He is a former faculty member of Neufeld Institute, and Todd has guided thousands of parents with clear, compassionate tools that work in real life. He's also the author of The Calm and Connected Parent, which will be out November 18th, 2025. And I believe that I'm going to working something out with his office to do an affiliate program with him on that. And he's also a frequent speaker and workshop leader. So, if anybody can talk about this topic, it's Todd. So I'm going to thank you for joining us here today, Todd.
Well, you'll find that I can really talk about it. In fact, you're going to have to shut me up because I love talking about this topic. But thank you, Elisha, for having me. Your passion for the work you do and for your audience comes through in your episodes. I have listened, and it was part of why I'm so happy to be here today, is I know you care about what you're talking about and about the folks that you serve. And so thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. Now, audience, I want to let you know that this is part one of part two, as our shows are 30 to 45 minutes long. So if you are if you happen to click on part two, know that there's a part one that you can listen to too. So this is part one of part two, and they will be side by side on the show so that you can see part one and part two, like I did with the other show earlier.
At least two parts.
At least 2 parts. We might do a part 3.
Or 5. Okay, we'll see.
We shall see. So could you start by explaining, the basics of attachment theory? I think a lot of people talk about attachment, but they don't know what it is and why it's so important for being parents.
Yeah, you're right. It's a widely misunderstood topic. And it's funny, I always say that if you ask therapists, psychotherapists, psychologists, educators who are familiar with developmental psychology, it's not controversial and it's not confusing, really, which sounds strange, but it's only controversial or misunderstood on the internet and parenting blogs and things. Maybe you've heard the term straw man argument, where like in politics, somebody goes, well, Elisha doesn't like puppies. And, and then they make an argument about why you should love puppies. And Elisha's sitting there going, I like puppies. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Stuff out there about attachment science is just not, I don't even know if you like puppies. So
it's okay.
A lot of stuff about attachment science is just really misunderstood. It's not that controversial. It basically just says there are a lot of factors in life that affect, let's say, the development of a child or the status of a relationship, whether it's a parent and child or people who are together in a love relationship, family relationship. There are a lot of factors, economic factors, social factors, racial factors that will affect the upbringing of somebody, economic. But attachment science just says, look, the bottom line is no matter what the other factors, the number one determining factor in how a person grows up to feel confident as a person, how they get along with other people, how they behave day to day, and how they grow into their greatest potential. The number one factor in that is how secure they're made to feel in their primary relationships, especially growing up.
Right.
So, no matter what else was going on, did your caretakers, whether it was your mom or your dad, whoever your parents are, your aunties, your grandparents, whoever was there, did they help you over years of telling you, hey, you're loved, you're enough, you're cared for, you're not too much. Hey, what you're doing right now is not okay, and we need to talk about that. And we don't do that because that doesn't work in our family. We can't have people yelling and screaming and knocking things over. But I love you anyway, and I get you're frustrated, and let's work it out, right? That getting that message over time and feeling secure, like you and I, Elisha, like if we're friends and we're talking, if I know you and I are okay, and you know you and I are okay, that's the basis for everything else. Does that make sense?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so attachment science isn't this complicated thing that says you have to, sometimes on the blogs, sometimes the straw man arguments are, you have to breastfeed a child until they're 8. I'm kidding, I'm exaggerating a little bit. Or you have to sleep in the same bed until they're 15, or
Right.
you have to do this thing or that thing, and if you don't, you're not a good enough mother, or whatever. And that's not what attachment science says. It just says, hey, we have to make the priority that we know we're okay. And that's you and I as friends, that's two people who are in a love relationship, that's family members, but especially for our conversation, that's a child. And helping a child to feel we're okay, we're connected, you can lean on me, you're loved. That's not as easy as just thinking it. It's something that you have to do over time and be consistent, and a child more and more internalizes it. And attachment science just says if a child internalizes that and they really more and more have that feeling inside of, I'm a good person, I deserve good people in my life, I know that when I reach out, somebody will be there, then that enables them to fully move into their potential in life because they have that base inside of feeling that security. And it's true of love relationships too. Is I'm a couples counselor as well. I do the parent coaching, and that's my main passion. But then I also really love helping couples who are parents work out things in their relationship for the kids' sake too. But people come to me with all these different things. We're not doing this. We are doing that. We don't like this. We don't like that. But the number one thing that brings them to couples counseling is they lost that sense of we're a team. They lost that sense of we have each other's backs. You know what I mean? And if
Yes.
that's not there, all the other things happen. So that's what attachment science is just saying that our relationships are most important. And if we can count on them, we thrive. If we can't count on them, we get kind of preoccupied with them. And how do we fix them? That's a very long answer, but does it answer the
Very good
question?
answer. Yes, it absolutely does. So, what I got from that is attachment theory, or not attachment theory, but the focus on attachment is how to love yourself and others better, no,
Yeah.
realizing your attachment style.
Yeah.
How does that affect parenting styles?
Well, there are a couple different things, right? Attachment styles are not, I'll talk about both if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Attachment styles, one of the most important distinctions, when I start off with a couple, I mention attachment styles usually in the first session, and I make them all promise me something. And I kind of say it as a joke, but I also mean it. I say, hey, I'm going to talk about attachment styles, but you guys are going to agree to something here, and I'll get mad at you if you don't listen to me here, if you don't make this agreement and keep it. These are not diagnoses. They're not
Right.
something that you throw at your partner later and say, well, you're anxiously attached. So, that won't work out for you very well. Don't do it. Okay.
Absolutely. Right.
But it's because it's the truth. Attachment styles are not a diagnosis.
Mm-mm.
Essentially, what they're saying is when it comes to managing relationships and the stress of managing a relationship, because we all have anxiety. Again, if you and I are good friends and we're not talking this week or for a couple weeks, I'm going to have some anxiety. I'm going to be like, what's up with Elisha? Like, she hasn't called me back. That anxiety of worrying about holding on to my connections causes some of the greatest stress that we have as humans. And the attachment styles are essentially, what is my strategy for dealing with that? You
Mm-hmm.
know? So there's healthy attachment, which is what we're all trying to achieve, which means I know you're there, Elisha. You know I'm here. If you call me and you're like, Todd, I'm sorry to call you at midnight, but you're the main person I could call right now to help me with this. I really need your help. Am I going to say, call me back tomorrow? Am I going to say, well, do this for me and I'll do that? No. If we're in a healthy, secure attachment space, I'm just like, yes, of course. What do you need? Right.
Right.
And that's the
Absolutely.
same in your love relationships and with your child. If they're feeling healthy in their attachment with you, they want to listen to you. They want to do what's right. Right. It's just, that's a tough, long journey for a kid. We'll get back to it. There's two main attachment styles that I'll have if I'm not feeling secure right now. Okay. One of them is anxious, which means, hey, are we okay? Are we okay? Are we okay? Hey, are you sure we're okay? We're okay. And you're just like, Todd, come on, chill. We're good. And I'm like, no. Are you sure? Because I don't think you, right? That's more anxious. That's not a diagnosis. That does not make me a bad person. It just means you can see my anxiety because I'm not feeling okay right now with us. Right.
Right. Right.
And half the people, that's what they're going to look like. Okay. Like if they come into my office, classically, that was more the female in a male female relationship. That was more often the female classically, but these days it's mixed. The second insecure attachment style is avoidant, which means like, I don't care. We're good. Like, like not we're good. It's more like acting like I don't care.
When you
And
do.
that person thinks they're better sometimes because they're just like, I'm chill. You're being really anxious. But a lot of times that person is actually checked out and they're acting like they don't care. And that is just an anxiety management approach too. Do you get that? I'm also anxious. I'm just acting like I don't care. Right. And those are the attachment styles. So usually in a couple, when they come into the office, one of them is more anxious and one of them's more avoidant and naturally arranges that way. The anxious person thinks they care more and so they're better. And the avoidant person thinks they're not being so lit up and so they're better. But they're actually making each other worse. Because when one person's being anxious, it makes the other person more avoidant. If a person's being avoidant, it makes the other person more anxious. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so usually they're blaming each other for their strategy rather than trying to figure out how to help each other feel secure.
Right.
So
Right.
that went a little bit over here in attachment styles. Parenting styles have a love-hate relationship with the conversation, and it's useful to talk about. Okay. So it's a good question, but I have a love-hate relationship with it because I think, and why I explained that first part, is a lot of times your parenting style isn't a real comprehensive, effective way of parenting. It's more a reflection of style. Does that make sense? If I'm
Absolutely.
really anxious and I can't stand a kid who's not listening to me right now, I might get authoritarian and I might get strict, right? Or if I can't handle my child's feelings and I'm afraid of being a jerk and I don't want to be an oppressive parent like my parent was or something, I might be really permissive because I don't want to say no, right? But those are actually not a comprehensive, balanced parenting style that works. Neither one is, right? And it drives me crazy sometimes if I look on social media and I try to walk through life without judgment. Elisha, I really try as hard
I
as
do
I
too.
can, especially with parenting,
Right.
because we don't need judgment as parents. But it's so hard for me sometimes listening to I've been doing this 22, 23 years being a parenting coach. the pendulum swings back and forth constantly between people going, hey, let's just be gentle and let's be really nice and let's, right? Which, hey, I feel you if that's your intention and you want to be kind and loving with your kid. I have no argument with that intention. But you have to have boundaries. You have to say no, right?
You're preaching to the choir.
That's not unloving. That's just balanced, right? So if you're all the way on the permissive, gentle side, you're not giving your child everything they need. But then when that doesn't work, because the children are not responding well to lack of boundaries, people go to the other side of authoritarian or F around and find out parenting, which is a big thing on social media now. And they go, we need to teach these kids a lesson and they need to learn that life. And it's like, well, yeah, some boundaries are very important and consequences. Teaching a child when you do this, this happens. That's important. But you do not need to be a jerk about it. You do not need to be a dictator. You do not need to have the kids starve because they didn't pack their lunch correctly or something, right? That's not going to help anything.
Right.
So parenting styles is just usually somebody trying to explain how you're dealing with your anxiety as a parent. The closest one to what I teach is what they call authoritative parenting style, which is what I actually call alpha. The approach that I have, I call attachment first, which what I'm trying to imply in that, if I gave a longer answer, it would be attachment first leadership parenting or attachment first alpha parenting, because attachment comes first. I do need to make sure we're okay and you feel connected to me first, because without that, nothing else works. Right? Like they say, if somebody doesn't know how much you care, they don't care what you know. It's like that kind of vibe. We need to be good. I need to actually connect with you before I lead you. That's just leadership. Attachment first. But we also need to balance it out.
You can't move forward if you don't have a connection.
No. Everywhere in the world, everywhere. We just went to France for Christmas last year, right? And I've known this about France since I was 19, and I went to France a couple times when I was a teenager. And it was the first time I had been back, and it's been a while since I've been a teenager. But I always heard how rude the French people were when I was a kid, and I was afraid of that. Well, what I found by reading a book that a French teacher gave me in high school is they have a very strict culture, like most places in the world. Africa, Central America, South Africa, a lot of small villages all over Europe, everywhere, is you're not supposed to walk into a bread shop and just go, hey, can I have a baguette? You're not supposed to do that. If you do that, you're breaking the rules. I'm supposed to walk in and say, bonjour, mademoiselle, comment ça va? I'm supposed to greet you as a human being first and get a smile and say how things are going and not be BSing. Let's actually take a moment.
Hi there, friends. Elisha here. You and I, we're on this winding road of life together, and I'd like to share a little piece of my soul with you, something to bring us closer on this shared journey of growth and self-discovery. The Mental Health Handbook is a piece of that shared journey, and it's not just a collection of my thoughts. It's a sanctuary where we can learn resilience and arm ourselves with self-care tools for those days that just feel too heavy. Consider it a conversation between friends, one that I hope brings you comfort and strength. And for those times when we seek quiet reflection, I've crafted the Mindfulness Coloring Book for Adults. Picture us side by side, lost in the simple joy of coloring, allowing the stillness and the words of peace and forgiveness to wrap around us like warm embrace. I want these books to be part of your journey, to walk with you and guide you towards a fuller, more peaceful heart. It's a path we travel together, one filled with understanding, care, and the gentle reminder that you're not alone. Both the Mental Health Handbook and Mindfulness Coloring Book for Adults are waiting for you on Amazon and at the Restoring You Christian Counseling website. These spaces are more than just stories. They're gateways to the experiences we can share and grow from. Let's take this step to nurture our mental and spiritual health together. Find the books, and let's start unfolding the beauty and strength that lies within us, page by page, color by color. Thank you for letting me part of your journey. Here's to the discoveries we'll make and the peace we'll find together.
And everywhere in the world, we have 3 cups of tea before we proceed, or we bow in a certain way, and we meet eye contact, or we kiss each other on the cheeks. But everywhere in the world, you and I, if we met for a business meeting, we wouldn't just sit down and go, okay, Elisha, this is what I need. What do you need, right? If we walked into a room to talk, even about business, it'd be, Elisha, how are you? How's your life? What's going on? How's the weather over there? Let's talk. And we're supposed to get that sense of being human beings together first. But in a busy day with stuff going on, I walk in a room and I just tell my child what to do. Or I just tell my partner what to do, or whatever, right? That doesn't fly. We're supposed to get connected first. So as I told you, I would give you long answers, but obviously I'm passionate about this stuff. But everywhere in the world, we have to get connected with each other first. I often say, just as a simple thing, I have a little green light on my computer saying that the camera is on. I have a little green light on the side of my MacBook Pro here that says the power is plugged in. So I know, hey, my laptop's not going to die in the middle of my talk with Elisha, right? And just, you have to imagine that your kid has a little green light in their forehead, that your job is to get that on before you do anything else. Because your power to be a parent does not come from the fact that you're just literally a parent because you gave birth to this child or adopted this child. That doesn't give you power. What gives you power is that connection your child feels to you. And getting that turned on first is critically important.
For people that might be new to attachment, how can they want to do or want to have genuine connection with their child? Most loving parents do.
Yeah.
How can they know their attachment style as well as their child's attachment style?
Well, it's a good news, bad news thing that I'm careful how I say.
Right.
But attachment science has known for a long time that if your child is born, and let's say, just hypothetically, you had a child yesterday and I happened to take some time to give you a questionnaire to determine your attachment style, which there's this very long procedure called the adult attachment interview that was developed at UC Berkeley by Mary Main that I could do for 2 or 3 hours. I've been taught a shorter version that I apply to couples a lot of times. Let's just say that I did a questionnaire with you, and between you telling me and being honest and my questions, I determined you had an anxious attachment style. The odds of your child having an anxious attachment style 18 years from now, when I apply the same questionnaire to them, are astronomical. They're very, very high. So does that make sense the way I said it?
Yes, because that child is under your care, so they're going to pick those items up.
Right.
I get
So
that.
if I can address the fear and the judgment that people might apply to themselves for that, look, everybody's anxious. Every human being I've met is anxious in one way or another. A lot of us are just hopefully in life with age and wisdom and experience and trying to grow ourselves, the kind of person you are, the kind of person that listens to your podcast, that we're hopefully earning attachment security over time by
Right.
experience and things. I just am of the point of view, hey, let's try to help our kids get a leg up on that
Mm-hmm.
as best they can when they're a kid, right? But saying a fact like that, like your kid is most likely to adopt your attachment style, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't find the
Mm-hmm.
words, is not judgment or, hey, they're doomed. Everybody is a little anxious, like I said, and most people are either anxious, obviously, or anxious avoidant, but do your best to work on your security. Do your best to work on you. Do your best to not bring whatever your unhealed stuff is to your child. Do your best to handle it yourself by meditation or spiritual practice or therapy or good supportive groups of friends. Okay. And a lot of what you can do is find a parenting path that helps you figure out the ways to help your child feel more secure. And by doing that, I think you also help you in the process. And it's part of why I call my practice transformative parenting. I feel like if you figure out what your child needs to be secure and you just dedicate yourself to walking that path, not perfectly, but just walking in that direction, finding narratives, finding stories about parenting, finding good guides of parenting that help you walk in the direction of helping your child be secure, you will help yourself become secure in the process. I truly believe that. But
Love that, because that
it's in
fits.
yeah,
That goes into, like I say this so often when I talk about when you're showing care and love towards others, you have to focus on caring and loving yourself first, because you can show love towards others and care as well when you're unhealed.
yeah,
But a lot of that stuff that where you're unhealed at, it can also pour into the people that you care about. And so working on yourself is the best gift that you can give to yourself and the others that you care about. You know,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, parenting requires a certain amount of generosity and it requires a certain amount of energy. And so, yeah, working on yourself and making sure you put that metaphorical oxygen mask on yourself first is really, really critical to being able to be there for your kid, you know? And I just think part of the journey is you're going to notice sometimes I didn't like what I did there. I didn't like how I just talked to my kid. I don't like that I'm getting frustrated with them every single day after school because they're not listening to me and they're not doing their homework, right? And I would say first, notice that, feel bad for a minute if you're falling short of who you want to be, but then do something about it, right? And everything I teach is about, okay, your kid keeps having the same problems after school. Well, maybe that's not a kid problem. Maybe that's an environment problem. Maybe that's a not planning well problem. I'm going to make sure every day when my kid gets home, I'm going to do what Todd just said, and I'm going to get in their face in a friendly way. And I'm going to try to get that green light on first. Hey, how's your day? What's going on? What do you need to do? What's on your agenda? This, and that. How can I help? Any way I can help with that? All right. Well, you know what we do. We do our homework first. And then when we get that done, even though it's a pain in the butt sometimes, then we have time to play. And we can have a nice dinner together and the evening will go great. Does that sound good to you? All right, cool. Let me know how I can be here to support you. Like, taking that 2 minutes every single day and building that into our culture, and that my kid just knows I care and I'm going to take the time to take 2 minutes, which feels like an investment to me at first because I'm so busy. But I just tell parents all the time, I've had over 2,000 clients. I guarantee you, you are spending more time dealing with the repercussions of not being out ahead of it. Does that make sense the
right.
way I'm saying it? You are
Yes,
absolutely spending more time dealing with the fallout of not taking the time to build that culture of predictability, of connection, of structure, you know? And it's not all supposed to fall on you. You're also supposed to build out a culture in your home and a village of people that support your attachment and support the raising of a child, like the old African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. That doesn't mean the parent's not the most important. The parent is the most important. The parents are. But you're also supposed to have a village around you, and that helps take some of the weight and some of the pressure off.
absolutely. And what I often tell people too is that the work is always going to be there.
Yeah,
I mean, what you feed grows, what you starve dies, right? So the work is always going to be there. So why not take some time out for your kids? You
for
know,
real. Yeah, the work will always be, yeah, and the work of being a parent will always be there, and the work of, being a healthy person for yourself will always be there, and the work of relationship will always be there with adults. But I like, what if we turn it around in our head a little bit? And I know this is more the way you think from listening to you, is what if the work is the point? Because if we have it in our head, oh my God, it's hard work to institute these things that I'm hearing on this podcast to do. It's not what I normally do every day. And yeah, if we look at it that way, it's like being on a diet, right? It's like, I really, really, really want that ice cream, but God, I don't. It's the way you look at it. If your attitude is like, the work is a fundamental part of being human, becoming better and letting go of old patterns, things that don't serve me, baggage my parents gave me that doesn't feel good. If shedding those things and becoming more of my real self and a higher reflection of my spirit is like work, well, that's great work. And it's a matter of how you look at it. People all the time struggle with things like, what's the point of life, or what's the purpose of life? Maybe that is one of the main purposes of life. Recognizing the places where I'm holding on to things that aren't helpful, or I don't know something, and letting go of some things and learning some things, and now I become a more complete human being. I can't think of better work than that. But depending on how you frame it in your head, it'll be like, it's so much work, or it's, all right, there's some more work to do. But
and
how does it
even
feel when you get work done?
or
It
even
feels good.
a shifted mindset of I get to do this.
Exactly. I get to do this. We all know people who didn't live as long as they should have.
Right.
I can look at my best friend who passed away 25 years ago. I can look at loved ones who died too soon and say, hey, I get a chance to keep working on this. I get a chance to keep, it brings tears to my eyes to think about it. But yeah, it really is how you frame it. And it's not a BS thing, right? Sometimes people would say mantras and I am a good enough person. I'm a strong, and it can sound funny when you see it on a TV show or something. But that's why it seems funny on the TV show, is if the person's attitude is they don't really believe it, but they're saying it anyway.
Hmm.
But what if that really is your mindset? I get to do this. You
Right.
know,
Right. And when it comes
it's,
to your
yeah.
children, you don't get those moments back. You
No.
know,
Everybody said so many cliches when I became a dad. I heard so many things when I became a parent about this and that, this and that. And so many of them, I'm like, okay, whatever. That doesn't help me. But the people who would
some of
say,
them frighten me. But go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, but the people who said, enjoy it because despite the ups and downs of it, it goes by fast.
Hmm.
That one's true, right? And that's a wisdom to take to heart if you have younger kids, because some days just feel like forever. Some
Hmm.
days feel like, what in the heck is going on here? And this is just hard. But man, I blinked my eyes and my kid is 22 and a half years old right now,
Right.
And man, I don't feel that old. And so that's a perspective too, right? Just
Right.
enjoy it. Just try to enjoy it and try to understand. One of the hardest parts for me as my kid grew up was like, man, I like 4 years old. This is awesome. I love this. This is so great. Look at the wonder in his eyes and look at how he plays and how he holds my hand when he's walking up to school and whatever. And then he gets 3 years older and he's, oh, I don't want to hold dad's hand when it's walking up, right?
Right.
And so that was like the mini death and rebirth of being a parent, is, oh, this is awesome. Oh, now it's something new. Okay, this is awesome in a different way. Okay, this is something new. And then you blink and they graduated high school. It's like, oh my goodness.
Which is
But
why
you
I
got
think
me.
learning your attachment style and actively pursuing your own healing journey is so important.
That's critical.
Otherwise, as they go through the different transitions, I think it can be difficult, especially if you have an anxious attachment of some size, shape, or form, or
Yeah.
an avoidant attachment. I mean, even any attachment, really, it can be difficult to.
Yeah. And that's why the word attachment, that's part of why it's misunderstood sometimes, is there's the Buddhist notion of attachment that I always took Buddhism as a philosophy,
Hmm.
of like psychology myself,
Hmm.
not to disrespect anybody's faith around it. But when I understood it as the Buddha saying, hey, we get attached to things. And he didn't mean you and I as friends can't be attached to each other and have that in a healthy way, or me and my child, or my love partner, or my fiance, whatever. It's more like getting attached to an idea.
Right.
This has to be this way causes me suffering, you know?
Hmm.
Or my kid has to be this way causes me suffering, or I'm not good enough as a parent. That causes me suffering, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's more like an alive relationship of, okay, I'm noticing I don't like this thing. I'm going to work on that thing. And a radical thing that's changed in my lifetime, in a way, is I went to a junior college at first, right out of high school, because my grades were not great. I didn't try really hard in high school. I was acting out a little bit. And I had a professor of psychology when I was like 18 years old, Deanza Junior College, or whatever they call them these days, in Cupertino, California.
Hmm.
Great school, actually. I had a professor that said, by the time you guys are this age, and most of us were 18, 19, 20 years old, by the time you're this age, your brains are done. You're pretty much formed, right? Oh my goodness, Elisha, did I want to stand up and shout at this man? Because as a 18, 19-year-old kid who was kind of messed up a little bit and depressed and not feeling really good about himself, I absolutely was here in learning psychology because I wanted to believe that we all could get better, that we could all
Right.
heal, that we
Right.
can all grow. And this
Right.
man made a statement that sounded like he was saying, no, you're done. And oh, wow, that got me mad. That got me fired up. Now, I said that to, I've said that to people over time. I told that story to, he wrote a book called Buddha's Brain, Rick Hansen. And he and I had done presentations together at different parenting events in Marin County. And I said that story to him once, and he's like, Todd, have you learned anything today? I'm like, yeah, I've learned a few things today, including from our conversation. He goes, have you learned anything this week? I'm like, yeah. Have you learned anything this year? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so does it make sense that you don't keep growing, that you don't keep learning, right? And I'm like, God, that's such a simple way of thinking about it, right? And specifically in attachment science, and Dr. Daniel Siegel has done some really wonderful work around this. He's not a mentor to me like Dr. Neufeld was, but I did do trainings with him early on. And he brings up a lot how you can earn attachment. We could become securely attached at 20, at 55, like I am currently, or at 80 years old. You can become securely attached. And it just is understanding that it takes reps, is the way I say it these days, right? How do you become good at podcasting? Were you good on the first time you did it? Were you good at
Hmm. It was
anything you
terrible.
did on the first time you did it? Oh,
Hmm.
I was scared to death when I saw my first therapy client. I did not know what I was doing there. I actually I actually told the person to go on a rant. He walks into my therapy room in San Francisco where I was a brand new therapist, and he goes, "Where do I sit?" And I'm like, "Anywhere?" And he sat in the therapist chair. And so the only other place I could sit was on the couch. And I went over and I sat there. I'm like, okay, this is wrong, right? I was that nervous, right? But it takes reps to get good at anything, to become a parent, to become good at podcasting or counseling or whatever. It takes reps to become secure. I'm just trying, like I said before, to teach parents how to give those reps to their kids as much as possible when they're little. And those reps means I'm not perfect, but when you reach out to me with those questions, am I too much? Am I not enough? Am I loved? Am I cared for? Are you there for me? right? That over time, I'm mostly giving you a good answer. Yes, you're loved. No, you're
Right.
not too much. Yes, you're valuable to me. And it's only getting those reps over time. You could be the most perfect parent in the world that doesn't even exist, and your 5-year-old is not going to be a secure human being. If they were, they'd get a job and get married and get out of the house. I'm kidding a little bit. But we can get those reps a little bit. We can get those reps as adults, right? And it
Mhm.
means I'm learning and I want to put myself around people who are good people. I want to be around people in my life that are reliable. I deserve that and they deserve me. And I'm going to try to be around people. I'm not going to bring on a love partner as a project. I'm going to bring on somebody who's like me. They're not perfect, but they're trying and they want to
Mhm.
be better. Right. And I'm
Mhm.
a fair actor, meaning I can say, Elisha, I have this problem with you. And you go, okay, I don't agree with you necessarily, but let's work it through. Right.
Right.
That's what I need, right? And I
Right.
can create. I'm again. I'm being confessional. I'm 55 years old. I am in the first truly secure, mostly secure, because nothing is perfect, but I'm in the first mostly very secure love relationship of my life with my fiance. We're getting married in a few months. We've known each other since we were 14 years old, and we both have had a path, and it led to, we learned a lot of things that don't work and we made a lot of mistakes. And now we feel like, I got you. You got me. I know you do. I know I do. You're my person. And that is earned. Anybody can earn it over time, but you just have to work towards it. I don't
Absolutely.
even remember what the question was, but there you go.
Todd, I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I'm looking forward to us doing part two.
And 3 and
Someone
5 and
wants
7. Yeah.
if someone wants to get in contact with you or learn more about what they do, how can they reach you?
Easiest thing is the website, transformativeparenting.com. It's long, I'm sorry, but go there once and bookmark it. Transformativeparenting.com. It really came from the same idea that Marianne Williamson said, that I didn't know at the time that she had said this, but she said something like, there is no effort more radical in its potential for transforming the world than a transformation of the way we parent our children, you know?
Yes.
And I believe that with all my heart and soul. I believe it's the best possible work I could ever do to try to help parents with that journey. But maybe just telling you that quote helps you remember the website, www.transformativeparenting.com. It has our socials. I'm trying real hard to be better at socials. I brought on some great people onto my team that help. I've never been good at it. We have a great YouTube channel with lots of good free videos. We have Facebook with lots of good people on there. And if people are interested in working with me, the best way is to watch the masterclass on the site, which I hope will be helpful for anybody. But it's the first step that we require. We have an application process to do coaching. And like you said at the beginning, sorry, I hate plugging things, but I tried to put everything I've learned into a book. It's called The Calm and Confident Parent. Comes out November, mid-November 2025. I really am proud of it. It's getting some great early reviews. And it's my way of trying to say, hey, not everybody has the time or the money to invest in coaching. Not everybody wants to watch a whole bunch of videos. Not everybody wants to read a whole bunch of articles. Let me just put some of the best stuff I've learned into this format in a couple hundred pages. So proud of that. And it's a good, easy resource for people to check out.
I want to thank you for coming to the show. All this information will be in the show notes. You do have a wonderful team because they took care of you all the way. They took care of you.
I can't, I just don't have the brain for some of this stuff. So yeah, I'm lucky to have some people who work with me who are equally passionate about the mission. And they're all over the world, from Seattle to Nigeria to Pakistan. I have people on the team working on different things. Yeah, it frees me up to be able to talk to you and to be able to talk with my clients.
Yes, that's so important. So important. So, audience, I want to thank you for joining us here in Elisha Space. It's our conversation. Now, this is part one. We'll have part two And in part 2, we'll be talking about some definite tips of parenting, what secure attachment looks like and what that transformation can be, like more secure types of things you can do.
And
So
lots more.
lots of meat and potatoes in that episode. So make sure that you check us out on part 2. But if today's conversation also resonated with you, which we hope it did, remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Consider leaving us a rating and a review because your feedback helps us grow and reach others searching for guidance on their own journeys of healing and understanding. So I want to thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you on the next show. You guys have a fantastic and wonderful, wonderful day.
Thanks so much.